Welcome to the 349th, I almost said 350, 349th edition of Talk of the Town. Tonight is the fun show. This is the one that I started calling the Three Amigos. Not spelt the same way, though. It's G-O-E-S. I don't want to get confused with a big group in Rhode Island. Anyhow, welcome. Tonight, I want to start off with... we have our shout-outs first. Stowell's Cafe and Manomet, delicious sandwiches, salads, and more. We have an underwriter, Evolution Salon. Karen says you should see the salon. It's beautiful and great service. I can't use it, you know that. Brewster PC Solutions with Wrestling Brewster. He also has a television program called Wrestling with Computers. How you doing, Wrestling? Sorry I couldn't make it tonight. Our attorneys, Trifletti and Coster on Long Pond Road. Alan Coster and Stephen Trifletti. And our very first ever underwriters, well, actually, they were the second underwriter. But they're the first now, moved to the top, you know, like cream. David and Kevin Gallerani, the owners of Cape Auto Body and Service. The locations are Samoset and Sandwich Streets right here in Plymouth. Also two very supportive fellow Lions. Just a little bit of a comment before I jump off into the show. I've been hearing a lot of conversation of late when I'm walking around town or any of my family is walking around town, that don't be afraid to walk up to us and say hello. Don't be afraid to tell us you watch Talk of the Town. We know you're out there. We know that you watch this program. It's been successful all these years. Don't be afraid to give us a phone call. The number is 508-830-3971. And with that all being said, I want to welcome my two fellow amigos. The first one up is the one sitting right close to me here is Andrew Batteri. Thank you for being here tonight,
Thanks
Andrew.
For inviting me, Ken.
And next to Andrew, we have my bullpen relief man, Mr. Tim Grandy. Thank you for being here, Tim.
Yeah, bring the righty in from the bullpen.
That's it. Bring him in.
Bring him in.
Bring
This
him
way.
in.
Yeah, wrong hand.
Right, wrong hand, right. My other right.
Andrew wanted to know what we were going to be talking about tonight. Walter, I got a hot mic here somewhere. Something's feeding back. Oh, I know. Studio monitors, Walter. Pull those down, please. That should take, that did it. Anyhow, thank you, Walter. Walter's in the control room tonight. He come back here to be with us and helping out. Anyhow, there it goes again. Is it Andrew?
Uh-oh.
No,
It's the alien in me, maybe.
It's not
I don't
you.
know.
No, it's not you, Andrew. We'll figure it out. Anyhow, thank you guys for being here. Andrew, thank you for coming in from the bullpen.
I hope so, because I have no idea what I'm in for tonight.
Well, no, you don't. And you're sitting in between the two of us, so you're really in for it, right?
I'm going to get dope slapped on both sides.
I was informed Andrew was in charge tonight. That's what I was told.
Yeah, you pulled that one out of your hat. That happened just as you walked in the studio here tonight.
That's right.
He thought he'd give me a fit. It's quarter of 8, and I can't find Tim anywhere. So I call him up on the phone. He's talking to me in the hallway. But
Should have seen the
anyhow,
look on his face.
Oh, I know. He's a little stressed out, I'm sure.
Andrew, why don't you start it off?
Well, yes, I had no idea what was in store. I've seen you guys on the show before, and it's sort of like Seinfeld.
Yes,
like a
it
show
is.
about nothing.
It's a show about nothing.
And I said, I told a bunch of friends that I was going to be on this show, and they said, "What are you going to talk about?" I said, "I have no idea." I said, "I think it's just like a bunch of kind of just talking BS or whatever." They said, "You'll be perfect." So looking forward to it. But I'm really excited to be here. I think there's been a lot going on, especially in the town of Plymouth over the past month with the fireworks going on, the festivals, and one of the things I did this year was I joined the board of Project Arts Plymouth.
Nice.
With Mike Landers and the crew there. And we are excited about the new stage that we have down there. We would have liked it maybe to be turned a little bit more towards Cole Hill and maybe a little bit more back, but it is where it is. But so far the people that are coming to the free concerts on Wednesday nights, it's been just tremendous, and we are pretty excited about that. And I know, Karen, if you're watching, and I'm sure you are, because you're going to keep tabs on your husband.
Yes, she's watching me.
I just relaunched my book, A Celebration of Life, A Story of Hope, a Miracle, and the Power of Attitude. That's all I'm going to say, Karen, because I'm going to be on with Karen August 6th.
Yes.
At 8 o'clock, doing Talk of the Town about my book again and just some other additions to it. And part of that really came from the great participation that we had this past June 22nd at the Walk for a Cure for Scleroderma, which is the disease that I'm afflicted with, down at Nelson Beach. We had the largest fundraiser so far in the 6 years we've been doing it. We raised over $25,000. So we're pretty excited about that. And hats go off to some of the places that donated pizzas, if I'm able to mention those places.
Yes, you just can't tell anybody to go there and buy anything.
Okay. Al's Restaurant, Kingston House of Pizza, Family Pizza, Ernie's, and also to Pioppi's, who donated all the ice for all the beverages that we had. So hats off to them. And I don't know. Am I just supposed to now pass it over to Tim and say?
No,
Keep going.
Keep going.
Why don't we?
Oh, that's
bus
what this
stops
is.
here.
That's what this is. Okay,
The bus stops
grind them
here.
into the ground.
Grind him into the ground.
So next time you call me, I won't answer the phone.
I'd actually be interested in the disease itself.
Walter,
A little bit about
excuse me, Walter, mute me on two. I got to get up for a minute, please. You guys go ahead.
Okay. It's an autoimmune disease. It's a rare autoimmune disease. It's a connective tissue disease. And there's no cause. They don't know what causes it yet. And unfortunately, there's no cure. And when I was contracted with it 14 years ago, basically the doctors told me that I would have to let it run its course, which meant that it did run its course, and it eventually shut my kidneys down, put me in the hospital. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time with a coma.
Wow.
And almost died in the ER. I had a blood pressure of 270 over 170 when I was admitted to the ER.
So we're lucky that you're here tonight.
Very lucky that I'm here today, and I feel blessed every day
That's awesome.
that I'm 5'10" above ground versus
5'10"
6 feet
down,
versus 6 feet
sure.
under. And it's your body thinks it's under attack, so your body overproduces collagen. Like when you cut yourself, the scar tissue is actually collagen closing the wound. Well, in a scleroderma patient, your body continues to think it's under attack, so it overproduces the collagen. That in turn starts to crystallize and basically harden. So actually the Greek word scleroderma is actually hard skin.
Gotcha.
And it's mainly, as I like to kind of tongue in cheek, that it's 80% of people who are afflicted with it are females. So of course I had to go out and get a chick's disease.
Wow. What type of advances have the medical associations and have we made in this?
They've actually made a lot.
Disease.
When I had the disease in 99, 2000, pretty much again, I was told that we just have to let it run its course. Today, I've got friends a good friend of mine, Linda, who was living in Virginia at the time. She got it in her lungs, which can be very devastating. So she was actually able to get through a lung transplant. And they have new drugs now that keep the lung from rejecting, or the body rejecting the new lung. And so that's been a big advancement. There was a very dear friend of mine here in Plymouth back, I think now 4 years ago, Marie Reed, who had scleroderma. She always helped us with the walk and did a fundraiser dance, fall dance as well. And wonderful, wonderful lady. And she had scleroderma for many years. It got into her lungs, and she was not able to wait for a transplant, and she passed.
That's terrible.
So it can be very devastating. I've been very blessed. I mean, once I came off dialysis, I started to get my strength back, and the disease started to regress at such an alarming rate that the doctors, nicknamed me the Miracle Boy of Phoenix, because I should not have survived what I went through. But and that's why the subtitle of the book is A Story of Hope, a Miracle, and the Power of Attitude, because it's I don't care what adversity you're going through, you got to have the right attitude. You got to come with your A game every day. There were days that I wanted to give up, and I reached down deep and realized that there was a lot to live for, and you got to fight.
Absolutely.
So
now you know the real story about
I'll have to buy the book
Andrew.
to get the whole story, won't I?
Andrew is an amazing story. He really is, and it's amazing
you.
what he's done, and it's amazing what he does, and he continues to give back.
I think what I
that's
see
the
is
beauty
it's made
of
him
it.
stronger,
Yes, and he gives back.
and he gives back.
He gives back. He's also a very accomplished musician. That's how him and Mike Landis are
They're
working with
in the
Project
same
Arts.
band, right? Aren't you in the same band?
Well,
with
I
Mike?
jump up with them every once in a while, but no, I do an acoustic solo. Matter of fact, this Friday night at 6:30 down at Pilgrim Sands Motel.
We can't tell people to go there, though.
You don't have to go. Just if you happen to be driving by, you'll see my name on the marquee, and that's all I'm going to say.
He plays really great music. I've been, and he's a very
you guys have been there.
accomplished musician. You do a wonderful job.
And that was one of the things on my
Do
bucket
you
list.
sing too?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I'm not going to do any of that tonight, though.
Why not?
come on,
How
okay,
come
you
not,
sing.
I don't have a
Andrew?
guitar.
How about this? How about the start
Wait,
spelling?
I just happen to have one.
God Bless America, maybe.
Who did I see was singing that the national anthem or something? Is there somebody local at some event? At the what's the Plymouth
At the
baseball
4th of
team?
July.
No, the Plymouth baseball team.
Oh yes. Not the Pilgrims. Is it the Pilgrims?
Who was the semi-pro
Don't know.
baseball team?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, call up
was
if
it
you know the
Rocks?
name.
Yeah,
of
call up if you know the name.
call up the 508-830-3971. Call up with the name of the ball team.
But there's
Call up if you want Andrew to sing.
Yeah.
No. I don't have a guitar.
You should
it's
have brought one.
my
We should
lion's
have- If I
blanket.
had known, I would have brought one. Either the mandolin, maybe.
I'll do it for Karen's show. Karen, I'll
Karen
do it for your show.
Bring the guitar in. Yes. Absolutely. If you want to see him sing, you got to go to the show.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, he's it's really a nice scene down at the Pilgrim Sands. I was pleasantly surprised when I went there. I figured it was just a motel, and I know they didn't have a big room in there.
No.
And I went in there. It was very comfortable. Went out on the terrace out back and listened to Andrew play, and it's really quite good.
It's the best view in Plymouth.
And he's not paying me to say this.
No?
No, Andrew's not paying anything.
Well, he paid me to say something.
I only had $5. I had to give it somewhere.
That's all I need.
And I'm a right-hander, so it goes this way. It doesn't go that way.
I'm a cheap date.
So we're going to give Andrew a little bit of a rest,
Sure.
and we're coming over to Mr. Grandy.
Well, why don't we discuss, we want to town issues or?
Hey,
Federal
it's
issues.
an amigo night. You do what you want to do.
Let's talk about immigration. How do we feel about 50,000 or more
Are you
children
comfortable
being
or
left at the
uncomfortable?
border?
Oh, believe me, I have no problem talking about
Okay.
politics.
All right. Okay.
I'm probably one of the most politically incorrect people
Me
you
too.
will meet.
I can be at times.
But I'll be nice because I know we've got audience watching.
You started it, Mr. Grandy. Go for it.
Well, in my opinion, whether it's professional or not, we have to do something for the children, obviously. But there's a cost that comes with that.
Yes.
And that cost is borne and paid for by the taxpayer. So I think it's incumbent upon our leaders, which would be the President of the United States, our Congress and Senate, to let the public know exactly how much this is going to cost, either today and going forward in the future. When we talk about this issue that even coming to Massachusetts, what is the number? We heard 1,000 children coming to
Yeah, but
Massachusetts?
that's not a definite thing.
We don't know the exact
That's the low
numbers
ball
that come
number.
That's the low ball number.
That's the low ball number. I mean, the right thing to do, obviously, is to help the kids. It's not the kids or the children's fault that they're put at the border by either their parents or the government, because I don't do we really know the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
No, we don't.
We don't.
And we never will.
It would be nice to know what that truth is. You know, our southern borders, Texas, California, all these states are going through this process and have been going through this process with immigration for years. Now it's going to be brought to Massachusetts with bringing these children to Massachusetts. So what are the effects? We haven't lived it. So if anything, it's brought it to the forefront as far as the country is concerned and the residents that live in all 50 states in the union.
Well, it's almost like now Plymouth is a border state to Mexico, because now we're you know, it's always, you know, the California, Arizona, and I used to live in Arizona. I lived in Phoenix, Scottsdale for many years. And then you got New Mexico, and then you've got, you know, Texas, and it's always, you know, they have really felt the impact of illegal immigration. And there was a report the other day that they were talking to a couple Border Patrol people, and they said about 2 of every 10 illegal crossings are actually people from the Middle East.
Really?
And and that's been going on for, you know, for decades, and that's a little concerning, especially when, you know, we're in the world that we're in today. But I think, you know, that the cost is going to be borne on us. What was kind of alarming was when, you know, the governor of our state, you know, basically said he didn't really know anything about it, and then finally said that, you know, he got a call from Obama to take those. And again, it was already you know, a hand that was dealt beforehand, and it's too bad that we don't get the honesty in our government today, whether it's, you know, here in the state, whether it's national, and, you know, there's that, you know, 1/3 of what I call the low information voters,
Right.
that whatever sound bite is thrown up on, you know, ABC, NBC, you know, CBS, that's the gospel to them. And not enough people, you know, look and read and investigate and go on the internet or go into, you know, reading articles and stuff to really find out, you know, the shape we're in. And it's, you know, we're in some big trouble, I think, you know, from the United States, and just watching things start to deteriorate as we look around us.
Did you either one of you happen to catch the Cape Cod Times today?
No, I didn't.
There was an article in the Cape Cod Times about a meeting that happened last night in Bourne. It was the Bourne Selectmen meeting, where they overwhelmingly wrote a letter of no support for taking any of the immigrants at Otis. And they forwarded it to the governor. I don't know what the governors had to say about it. I was surprised that this Board of Selectmen actually went that far and did that. And you know, a newspaper picks it up and runs with it. There was a demonstration outside the Rotary at
Hyannis?
at the Otis base.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's not Otis anymore. They call it
Edwards.
Camp Edwards.
Yeah.
And there was a demonstration there on Sunday at that Rotary out there. And that was covered by one television station in Boston. And they were interviewing people. And, you know, I don't want to see kids being the victim of any mean-spirited government, person, entity. I want to make sure that the kids are okay. It doesn't mean that I want to see them go on the dole. Let's take care of them, but let's make sure that we get the money that is needed to take care of them from the authorities, the federal authorities. Make sure that the government's paying for it. because it could become a strain. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody else.
Let's talk about the federal government paying for it.
Which is the three of us and everybody else watching the show
It's-
tonight.
Okay.
Everybody,
Yeah.
to
Okay.
include the state of Massachusetts, wherever they're affected. But where do you draw the line when it comes to the United States being a land of opportunity? And we're always looking for. Our parents were immigrants.
We're immigrants.
At one
That's
time,
right. That's right.
right? So we or our predecessors, our great-grandfathers, our great-great-grandfather and grandmothers were at one time undocumented immigrants also.
Oh,
It may have come here with children also. So where do you draw the line? When you talk about immigration, we need to, I think you need to really take care of the policies that are in place with the federal government before you start accepting 50 or 60,000 undocumented people and say we're just going to ship them back or see if we want to have them stay in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. But where do you draw the line?
It's tough. It's really hard to find out where that line is. That's the difficult part of it.
Right.
Well, if you look at, we just did my dad's cousin, Marcia Karen, just did a whole genealogy on the Boteris. And, I've got my grandfather's naturalization papers.
Wow,
I've
that's a keep.
And the boat that they came over on. And so, that was, however you want to look at it, that was legal immigration. And I'm sure, when people came here, illegally or not, but, we have laws. And what we find is that we have laws that are on the books that either aren't adhered to, or you get like we've had with, with our president, with Obamacare, and, and it says, Congress is the one who makes the laws. But we've got a president who, because he doesn't like this part of Obamacare or that, he changes the law, and that's unconstitutional.
Right.
But yet, you don't hear any barking about it.
Right.
And that's a little concerning because, that Constitution is the longest running form of government. I think it was Winston Churchill that said, it might not be the best form of government, but it's the only one that works. Back in the 1920s or 30s, before World War II happened.
And it was a smart man.
Yeah, had some great great sayings as well that you see in the BBC up on the wall.
Well, he was quoting a lot of comments, Mr. Churchill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that, we if the people are told, and I think if we're told the truth, then we can make a more educated decision. But when we're not, and we feel like we're being lied to, whether it's Lois Lerner losing all her hard drive of her computer.
Before you make a comment or a decision, you have to be educated.
Yeah.
So in order to be educated, you need to pay attention to everything that's going on. So it's incumbent upon us as citizens of the United States to be informed and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
But in today's society where everybody's busy, does everybody stay informed, and they rely on their leaders, whether it be town leaders or state or federal government, to keep them informed.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the people that we elect into office. And if they're not keeping us informed of the information that we need to be informed of, well, then we need to change those people to different people that will keep us informed and do the job that needs to be done in the state and the office that they're in. And that's the way I feel. So it's our responsibility, too, to stay informed. Mm-hmm. When you watch Channel 5 or you watch Channel 7, Fox, CNN, or whatever station you happen to be watching, it's also, as far as I'm concerned, their job to give you the information that needs to be in place.
And unbiased.
But it needs to be unbiased, though. It really does.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a lot of situations, everyone says, did you watch Fox? Well, I try to watch both. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get a difference of opinion between
and that
Channel
way
5, Fox,
you can
CNN,
make an educated...
And then make an educated decision from the both. And if you don't feel that information is absolutely correct between the two, then you need to do a little bit more research, whether it be online, or discuss it
Yeah.
to make an educated decision or give your opinion based on the information that you receive.
You brought up a great point. You said, that it needs to be debated. But, in Congress down in Washington, I mean, they loathe each other. At least Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan, even though they would bark at each other all day, they would go and have a little scotch or a little bourbon and compromise.
They had scotch and bourbon?
One scotch, one bourbon, and one beer.
As one Irish and one Scottish and one what something?
I think Reagan had a little Irish in him.
Little Irish in him?
Yeah. But they would actually.
He was also an actor,
He was a very good one with the chimpanzee. Yeah, I loved Ron. I'm a big Reagan fan. We need somebody else. We need leadership like that in this country again. But and to debate. And unfortunately, down in D.C., because I'm a news junkie, I watch C-SPAN and I watch all the hearings and stuff. And maybe I'll get a life someday. But it's interesting because again, not enough people do that to really see. The workings of Capitol Hill, but they don't debate. They sit there and they rip each other apart, and you can't compromise. And unfortunately, that's what politics is about: is finding a middle ground. Because half of our country leans one way, the other half leans the other, and then you're a state like Massachusetts where it's been a one-party rule since the late '60s, I think it was.
Yep.
It was actually Republican up until early 60s, and then I think it changed over. And now you've got one-party rule, which to me is kind of reminiscent of socialist and communist countries. I mean, where we get
Now we're going deep.
Well, and I know I'm going to get in trouble, but to have when we should have the ballot to be able to vote on certain things, and the Democratic legislature and the Speaker and the Senate, Senate President at the time took that right away from us, and that to me is pitiful.
Can I throw you a lifeline?
You can go right ahead.
All right. I want to know what you think. Just 508-830-3971. You can be part of this conversation, and you can also listen to the television program while you're waiting for us to get to you on the phone. Let's get Walter busy. 508-830-3971.
If you don't call soon, I'm going to call the show myself.
Down the hallway.
Yeah, I'm going to go in the hallway and make a telephone call.
Do we feel as though we've lit the fire so that...
I hope so.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
Andrew likes to talk about politics.
Yes, I know he does. And
my family tells me to shut up half the time.
I'm looking over at his list.
Oh, I can't see it because I'm, it's a little bit far away.
I want to tell you, here's a guy, he gets a phone call to come here to go on Talk of the Town. Look at this.
It's double-sided.
He's got cue cards and notes.
He's got notes. This guy is prepared. So
if he comes back on again, the three amigos, we don't allow notes. We don't allow none of that.
I didn't know what to expect. So next time, I don't think I need notes.
I'm only kidding.
I'm only kidding. But I did want to also just quickly talk about the Plymouth 2020.
I want you to.
A very good friend of mine just became executive director, Michelle Pecoraro.
She's a friend of yours.
Very good friend of mine.
I saw her at the selectman meeting last night.
Believe it, he has some friends.
Yes.
I do.
Yeah, that's good.
Aside from
it depends after the show. We'll see what happens after that.
You're going to be unfriended everywhere.
But we.
That's that commercial. That commercial on TV.
I'm going to unfriend you. I'm taking you off my wall.
Erase you off the wall.
Yeah, that's a good commercial.
That's a great
commercial. Lady goes, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Right.
But actually, we share the same birthday, December 19th. And so, but I've known her when she used to work at the Radisson, when she worked at the Plymouth Plantation, and I don't think they could have picked a better executive director to get this thing going and running. And I just bought my license plate, so please make sure you go on to I don't know, it's plymouth2020.org, and order your license plate, because it's helping to support that initiative. That I mean, it's 6 years away. 5 years away.
I ordered mine a long time ago, and
hasn't come in yet.
They won't print them until they get 1,500.
Well, I think they're only a couple hundred, 150 away.
So there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Very good.
Oh, no wonder I haven't gotten mine in the mail yet.
Yeah.
I keep waiting by the mailbox.
No, Andrew, don't wait by the mailbox. It'll be like waiting for a check for your appearance on Talk of the Town. It ain't coming.
Or if it does, I'll bounce.
I asked for cash up front.
Oh, that's what I did wrong.
No checks.
Oh,
Cash only.
that's what I did wrong.
I got paid 20 cents to come here tonight. Right, Kenny?
Oh, you mean a little coin jar on the way out the door?
That's double the last time.
Yeah, the last time,
month.
that is
I got a
double.
raise.
Now,
But it's obviously it's going to be a huge event for us. Not only I know Michelle just actually came back from Plymouth, England, where they did the sort of the tour that the or the route or destination that the Pilgrims took. So they started off in Scrooby, England, and then they went to the Netherlands where the Pilgrims were, and then to Plymouth, England. So they did that whole sort of route that the Pilgrims took, and she said it was just fascinating.
Nice.
But it's almost 2015 now, and before you know it, it's going to be here. I mean, it's amazing how quickly things like that move.
and we're
Time
really
flies.
very fortunate that the town has finally got its stuff together, shall we say, for lack of another word. I know I'll hear about it when I get home.
Yeah, that
But-
word stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
word stuff.
Okay.
But at least now we'll, from all projections, at least the new town hall will be open by that time, because that's going to be one of the big drawing points in the downtown. I just hope it rejuvenates the downtown businesses and really invigorates it, because we're seeing a lot of really nice, good, clean, affordable housing coming onto the market in the downtown. What's the building across from Memorial Hall, Tim? That's just coming up.
Oh, the old armory.
The Armory?
The old Armory.
The old armory.
They only have 6 units left the last time I saw that sign.
Really?
That's
good.
And it really,
They're beautiful
it
inside.
looks wonderful in the downtown. And my hope is, and I know it's your hope also, Tim, having sit with you on the planning board, that it will invigorate the downtown enough so that some other types of businesses, other than the kinds of things that keep you busy. I mean, that's good. Don't get me wrong. But other than another bar room, let's see some other mom and pop type operations going in the downtown to help rejuvenate the area.
And they are coming. I've had a friend that just opened up a little gelato and espresso shop there, and
Where?
right next to Gunther's, called Anna Marie's Dessert Gelato and Espresso.
Is that the old what
old
used to
pie
be
hole.
the pie hole closed?
Yeah, they almost like vanished in the middle of the night type
Holy
of a close.
crap!
Yeah, where you been?
Yeah, where have I been? That must have happened while we were in California. They're gone.
But little shops like that are extremely important, especially, when you go to Exit 5, Old Colony, or the shops at 5, or over at the Old Colony, where you've got the box stores, which again are all corporate. And believe me, I probably own stock in some of them as well. But that's beside the point. If you want a downtown to thrive, you need those small businesses.
Well, number one, the new town hall in the visitors center and et cetera, what's going to happen there is not the wherewithal. It's not going to do everything.
It's not going to
for
answer
them.
everything. No.
It's initial step,
Right.
A positive step in the right direction. And from that step, you move on in the downtown area. It's a positive step in the right direction. But let's not fool ourselves. It's not going to completely do everything for the downtown, but it is a positive step in the right direction.
That was why I mentioned the affordable housing and the nice, clean housing going on downtown, because there's another project going on right across the street from the old courthouse.
The Spires.
Yep. So there's a lot of really good things going on in the downtown, which I think is going to help invigorate it. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Well, I think the one thing that the downtown is missing, and I know that I've been living here now for 14 years, and it's something that when I talk to a lot of people that have lived here forever, to me it makes sense, is that when everybody comes to Plymouth, they go down to the waterfront.
Yes.
And so we need to, and if I always look at because I love to go to Burial Hill sit up on one of the benches, play some backgammon or whatever, or just sit out there and look. That parking lot right there, if there would be any way that they could build a garage, parking garage up, at least people parking there are now going to have to walk through downtown, down to the waterfront, and come back up. That will help bring people who probably don't even know the downtown, that Main Street exists, because they all go down to the waterfront.
That's
and
right.
they leave either out, out Water Street, then down to South Street and out to the highway, or they go up Samoset and head out that way. And I know that there's been study after study, commission after commission over the years. There's a point, and maybe it's my business background, but figure it out and get it done versus, and I know that there's all politics involved, but if you had a parking garage somewhere uptown on Main Street, off of Main Street, to me it just makes sense. You'd get a natural flow of foot traffic, but a natural flow of registers ringing on Main Street.
Well, we all know that, at least I think we all know that this one garage is only going to give us an increase of 148 parking spaces.
Which is probably only 25% to 20% of what we need.
Increase. I'm sorry, 25%. And it's just not enough because the statistics are there now that we really need 2 parking garages. Because on an average summer day, you need 600 parking spaces.
Well, when you look at that, you need either private investment or is public investment involved,
right?
In parking garages. Okay, so when you look at a private entity putting in a parking garage, they're going to want to create either a restaurant or a level of retail
within that area,
within that parking garage, so that it can be sufficient enough and support the investment that it's going to take from a private developer to create a parking garage, or it has to be done with a public investment.
Money, and that's always the challenge.
And the town of Plymouth has had a parking problem downtown for how many years since the vehicle was created?
1904
when
was
Henry
the first
Ford
recorded
created the Model T.
sighting I made. 1904.
And you look at all the reports and studies and studies and studies on parking in the downtown area. We are insufficient as far as that is concerned. So this new parking garage is going to increase the ability to park. And yes, I think they are looking at the possibility of structured parking along with the town hall. I think they're looking at it. I don't know the particulars as far as that's concerned, but
why?
Because I'm not on the building committee, and I'm not part of the actual leadership team that's looking into that area. So I think it's important that we create as much parking as possible and solve the parking issues that we have
once and for all
in the downtown area once for all. But again, the first parking garage is a positive step in the right direction.
And maybe that's one of maybe 2 or 3, but at least get the first one. So now you're taking 140 people that are either going to drive around down on the waterfront,
or
can't find a park, and leave town.
Right.
Or as we find a lot of times, and I had some friends that came in from out of town. This was in June, because we were at the National Apartment Association trade show up at the convention center up in South Boston, and they came down. I was actually playing at Mamma Mia's, and so they came, and they were on their way to their car, and they got a parking ticket. And they were like, and we've heard that story from many people who write into the old colony, and
yeah, I'm not going shopping downtown because it's going to cost me another $30 for a parking ticket in the process.
Because you don't want to
So
feed
why
the
go
meter
shopping downtown when it's going to feed a meter in the process, right? You hear those arguments, sure.
But having behind Burial Hill would be great. You've also got, and again, I'm not sure of ownership or whatever, but you've also got that big parking area down behind behind Jenny Gristmill.
But you got to remember, if structured parking goes in, there is going to be a cost associated with parking.
Yes,
it's got to be paid for somehow. As
well,
far
hopefully
as maintenance.
this is what the PGDC is trying to accomplish, is to raise the money to build these garages. But unfortunately, that's coming out of paying for meters, paying for parking spaces, buying these certificates of parking, and supposedly they're turning the money over for for a garage. I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, the
but-
PGDC is a volunteer. They're not being paid to be on the PGDC.
There are some people, I believe, in the PGDC that are collecting some money. There are a lot of volunteers
Correct.
that are on the management board end of it. The board of directors, I think, those are all volunteers. And the board of directors, I believe, has hired a manager who gets paid.
Right, which
Yeah.
you need to do because
Yeah,
there's
right.
a lot of management
Right.
involved with.
You need some accountability.
Correct.
Right.
There's got to be accountability somewhere along the line. Yes.
I don't know that much about it, but I know a little bit about it. So,
Sure.
But at least start with, one, at least that opens up 140 more parking spaces, which has 140 more people walking along Main Street on their way down to the waterfront. I mean, it's.
Well, the town hall is going to create the beginning of a government center,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah.
And if you go to any large municipal area where it's vibrant in the downtown, what is there? It's a government center.
Yeah.
right, and they have
With a
parking
town
for the
hall,
government center.
and there's parking for the government center. It creates foot traffic, creates activity, creates more business, creates offices, creates apartments. It's a process.
Brings in more businesses. We'll hopefully, raise the tax base on it as well. And but you got to
So-
start someplace.
So tell me, are you feeling the pressure yet,
Of
sitting here?
no.
No
No?
pressure.
No.
What type of-
Okay.
I'm
I
not
used to
putting any
s-
pressure on them.
When I was
Pressure?
vice president of sales and operations for one of the first internet listing services called All Apartments, I used to sit next to William Randolph Hearst III, Patty Hearst's cousin. He was one of the principals of Caulfield and Byers, which was one of the top internet.
Well, you're sitting next to Ken Bukes the first.
Well, I know, and that's the pressure.
that's pressure
the
enough
pressure.
already, okay?
But Will was worth $680 million, and I used to sit next to him, and I'd be looking over his shoulder because he was taking all these notes, and I'm like, this guy's, multi-millionaire, and and I realized when I looked over there that he was actually doing his to-do list of his shopping list when he got out of the meeting.
That isn't a shopping list, is it?
No, this is no. No, this is. Well, again, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I touched on everything.
Well, come on, we want
Can
you
I
to
see your
touch.
list for a second?
Yeah, go right ahead.
We want you to
You
touch.
guys keep
your
talking.
list.
I want to look at the list.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, and I know I saw many people there on Sunday night, but also on Monday night was Sunday night was at the Carver, John Carver, and then Monday night was at the Loring Center. And thanks to our selectman,
Tony
Provenzano, you also had Ken Tavares that was also instrumental, and also Enzo Monti was also part of it.
Enzo, yeah. Last night they were thanking Enzo for what he did.
Oh, it was,
Yeah.
and what was really cool about it, it's this lady Claudia Tassinari from Italy wrote a book about the connection between Cento, where my grandfather Botieri's came from, and Renazzo, which was the largest group of Italian immigrants that came here between the late 1800s and the early 1900s to work at the cordage company.
Yes.
Well, that's amazing. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I noticed all these names at the meeting. Provenzano, Monti,
And
Kenny Tavares.
I was just so
They're all part Italian,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think Tony. I think
I
Ken,
should have been there too with the Grants,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Jesus, I
Excuse
didn't
me,
know about it. I've been there
gentlemen.
too.
We have someone that has decided to call Talk
Uh-oh.
of the Town. You're
Oh,
on the air.
no.
Go ahead.
Oh, really?
Hello.
Is that
All right. Buonasera, amigos. Come va?
Come sta,
Molto
Benny?
bene, molto
Benny too?
bene.
Hey, Mr. Gallerani.
Hey.
Davey G.
So, you guys, you're talking about the Italians. It was time to call in.
Yeah, you were there. You were there both nights, Dave. What did you think of the event?
My family came from Cento, and my father's family came from Renasso, and it was quite a story. It was quite a great time. But I want to thank you guys on the planning board, Timmy and Kenny, for what you do. And Andrew, you just keep talking the politics because you are good at it.
Yeah, he's like talks a good game. He talks good, doesn't he?
I got a good teacher in you, Davey.
He's making you proud, right, Dave?
He's one of us.
And David, I told my kids, right, that I was definitely part Italian because I was stationed there for 16 months. They go, that doesn't count, Dad. Just because you're in the Army stationed there for 16 months doesn't make you part
It gives you a little
Italian.
credibility.
So at Christmas time, my wife asked my father, she said, geez, Tim keeps saying he's part Italian just because he was over there for 16 months stationed there. And my father said he is part Italian because his great-grandfather was from Italy. So,
Oh, there you go.
My stepfather was from Italy.
Hey, everybody's Italian at heart anyway.
that's right, yes, right.
Or they want to be.
If you go to Ireland, do you go out for Irish food? Come on, you go out for Italian food, you go out for Chinese food, you go out for, whatever.
Well taken.
Hey, well, we can't all go to your house and experience delicacies, with your cooking in the kitchen, which I've never experienced.
He cooks for his guys.
We could change the show to the talk of Italy instead of talk of town.
No, I talked to him once about.
Okay.
I talked to you once about some really great raviolis, and you said that I haven't lived until I've had your raviolis with your gravy, and I'm still waiting.
Well, you gotta have squash tortilla with bolognese sauce.
The 2 tiers with the bolognese.
I guess I'm still waiting.
Well,
Don't hold your breath.
We could do a cooking show.
But hey, you guys are talking about the courthouse.
Yes,
and
David.
the 2 levels at Burial Hill, and you're absolutely right about that. I kind of did a study this winter. I drove by, back in April or March when they were talking about this whole thing, and I called Melissa and I said, you don't have enough parking. And she said, oh, yeah, we get plenty of parking, we get X amount of spaces and all this jazz. And I said, well, you know what? I counted all the spaces. There's like maybe 100 spaces. I said, you got 140 employees. So, I mentioned to her about a second level. Even if you just dug into the hill and built like a structure where you had free parking, I don't even care if it's paid parking. You don't have to build a parking garage. You just make a 2-level parking. You get twice as much parking there.
That's right.
And, it doesn't take a genius to figure this stuff out.
Nope, just takes an Italian.
Well, you know, these architects and all these people with degrees and all this other jazz, but
That's
the bottom
right.
line is it doesn't take a genius to figure it out.
No, absolutely not.
And then you got to pay all the study money that we pay to people for us to be able to sit there and look at it ourselves and figure it out for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing, but I did that years ago in my body shop, and PPG came down and they said, we're going to send down this guy, and they brought in a guy, they flew a guy in from like Virginia or something, some architect, and he told me how I was going to rearrange the shop, and when he got done, I looked at the plans and I said, so you just went from putting like 20 cars inside to putting like 12. I said, what are you thinking? It's in the wintertime. I need to get cars inside to fix them, right? I think the plans are messed them up right in front of them. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
He didn't know he was in the Northeast.
He didn't know he was dealing with a crazy Italian. But anyways, you guys go on with your show. You're doing a great job, and I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thanks for
you, David.
participating,
Thank you.
David.
Great
Thank
guy.
you.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He's one of the best.
He is.
Yeah.
He's always there. We can always count on David calling in the last 15
And you're
minutes.
still waiting for some ravioli.
Well, I'm waiting for ravioli and gravy, but
Gravy?
Gravy? They don't call it gravy.
Well, yeah, but-
Pancento, bologna.
Italians don't call their sauces
Manazzo.
gravy.
well, he told me gravy. David said gravy.
He meant
did.
brown gravy.
No, we were talking about ravioli.
He was going to give you some pork chops instead.
That
But no,
was 2 years ago.
The 2 tiers they're like a big tortellini, but they're the bigger ones, so it's a tortelloni actually, and then you put butternut squash and sweet potato, and you mix it up with some cheese and some spices, and then you boil them, and then you take them out and you layer them in a pan with bolognese, and then you bake them in the oven.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
Never mind, Dave. I'm going to his house.
And we make them. We I know Dave makes them. We make them. We even make our own homemade Italian sausage from a recipe from my grandfather who came from Cento.
When I was stationed in at Camp Darby in Italy, in Livorno, there was an Italian restaurant right across from the main gate. I used to get tortellini, panna con prosciutto, and funghi
Yeah.
all the time with one Grande Heineken.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great. They had
Wow.
great food.
That food just melts in your mouth.
I wouldn't eat. I used to eat at the Italian police's kitchen because the food was so much better. Because I used to work with the Carabinieri when I was in the military police over there, so we'd work together off post and on post with the Italian Carabinieri. And I'd Capo, you come mange over here, you come with us, and you eat in our kitchen, not in the garbage you're being fed by the Americans. And it wasn't garbage, but
Theirs was
over
much
there,
better.
their food was just
Yeah.
I bought some.
outstanding.
I bought
Outstanding.
some tomatoes today.
Fattening, though. Gotta watch out.
Well, you got to do this, try to work it off.
I bought some Italian tomatoes today, and when I picked up the can, I said, "Now I know where this place is."
The Cento.
The Cento tomatoes.
Yeah.
And we got another brave soul. Wow.
It's probably an Irish guy this time.
You're next. I'm talking to Towne. Thanks for calling.
Maybe they decided they called the wrong
Maybe
show.
they called the wrong show. Are you there, caller?
Wait a minute.
Nope, they hung
They
up.
hung up.
Okay, all right. Well, call back again if you want. We still have 5 minutes.
But on the thing on Sunday and Monday, there's actually a group that you can, it's the Italian Genealogical Society of America that was also part of this group. And what they're looking to do, and I know the selectmen are, I talked to both Kenny and Tony, looking to create an association that we can start doing some stuff back and forth across the ocean with Cento and Renazzo. But the reason why Renazzo was picked, or had a lot of the immigrants from Italy come, is because that was one of the largest producers of hemp. And hemp is what the cordage company used to make the rope in the time.
Right.
So they figured they knew how to grow it, they knew how to pulp it. So that's why they started to bring them over. It was fascinating, and there's a book written about it as well. So it was
Where is that town in part of Italy?
It's just, you know where Bologna is? Just a little bit northwest of Bologna. You're going to have Cento, and then you have Renazzo.
They had done, and there was an exchange of books last night at the selectmen's meeting. And actually the lady, I can't remember her name, had presented a book to the town of Plymouth that they had documented that how many of their townspeople had migrated to Plymouth with promises of jobs at the cottage. And
That was Claudia Tessinari. She was the one that wrote the book.
yeah, fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
It was really
Right,
fascinating. It really was.
And when we were there on Monday night, there were a lot of older women from North Plymouth.
You mean seasoned?
And older women.
Seasoned.
You can call him. You can call him Tim Grandy. And 508.
He said old women. I said no, seasoned.
Seasoned. Well, there were some lovely women there who.
There you go. That's better.
Actually, when some of the older pictures of old Plymouth with dirt roads, I mean, they were showing some of those of downtown Plymouth with dirt roads. A lot of them, they were in their, in their 80s, and some of them in their early 90s. Recognized those pictures. They recognized some of the pictures of some of the people that were shown from like the early 1900s. So, it might have been a grandfather or an uncle, and it was just really the connection that everybody made there was just fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well,
5855.
58. That's right. I remember that. 5855. It's 55855 right
what
now.
else do you
Have on my list?
on your
I went through his
list?
list. He's already talked
He's
about
all
all
done?
of it. I think he's all done.
Yeah.
Talked
Yeah.
about, well, I also just, we want to talk about, you mentioned volunteering.
Yes.
And I think that every one of us that is of means, and whether you're, our age or his age, that you should, and especially younger kids, look to volunteer, look to help out whatever organizations might need some help, whether it's pet adoption or whatever it is, but get out there and volunteer. I tell you, we were put on this earth for a purpose and a reason, and I think all of us in that journey, part of it is to be able to give back, and I think that's an important part of why we're doing this, because hell, we ain't getting paid for it.
Thanks for throwing me under the bus.
Our age,
His age, yeah.
Now there's a seasoned guy right there.
But Andrew and Tim are right. There are a lot of vacancies on a lot of different committees, and there's really not any hard lifting involved in joining any of these committees.
Just a commitment.
Volunteerism is it's a good thing. I know I always feel good with it, and somebody's asked me, I was asked recently, why do I do it? And it's a good feeling. I enjoy it. I enjoy giving back to this town. I think that every one of us has a responsibility to do that when we live in certain towns. But
it's kind of like when you give a Christmas present and you feel good about it, right?
yeah, when are you going to give me
It's
my
better
Christmas
to give
present?
than to receive.
When do you
can you
give them?
re-gift?
You're going to get double what I got you last year.
Can you
No
re-gift?
problem.
Yeah, well, I can re-gift. But Andrew,
And as far as I'm concerned, your present is a gift to me. Thank you.
Look at that,
aren't
huh?
you sweet? Oh, what a nice guy. Andrew, where are you going to be playing your guitar this weekend?
I'm going to, can I tell?
You can tell us where you're going to play it, but you can't tell anybody to go there.
Okay. I am going to be playing this Friday night, the 25th, at the Pilgrim Sands Motel out on the seawall, weather pending, from 6:30 to 9:30.
And there's no cover charge or anything
No
like that,
cover
right?
charge, free parking.
Yeah.
At about
Very good.
9:45, after a couple of margaritas, I'm going to be singing while he's playing.
And guys, this as always, I really enjoy doing this, and once a month I look forward to this.
This was a blast. I didn't know what to expect. I've only, like I mentioned to Tim, I've only bumped into him on occasional events around Plymouth, and so I'm stoked. This was exciting. I was glad that again,
Really?
thank you.
You
Thank
didn't really need your list, Andrew?
Well, just I think to remember some of the Italian names I did.
As long as you don't forget.
Gallerani.
Yeah, just don't
Couldn't
forget how
remember
to
his
say
name?
my name.
Did you hear that? He couldn't remember your name, David.
All right. This has been a fun time tonight. 349 shows. Time is just flying.
Wow.
wanted to
Karen
be
is
here for
going to be here
350.
next week. That'll be show 350. I just can't believe it. But I want to thank my crew. Stevie, who went home. He wasn't feeling well. Walter and Walter's younger sister, who is a camper here at PAC TV. Want to thank you for tuning in. Remember to get out there and do your volunteering in the town. It's a good thing, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And Talk of the Town, we'll see you in 7. Thanks very much.
Ciao.
Ci vediamo.